What up? Wade here. So today what we're going to talk about is breakups. Bad breakups, getting over a bad breakup. And you'd be surprised at how often, if I work with someone long enough, a client, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years in, at some point, something's probably going to happen in the relationship where they either need to find someone new or the person they were with said, hey, this is over. And of course, I have the background as a dating coach. So I'm uniquely qualified to apply this in every aspect of life, of how it affects your business and how it affects the inner game and the psychology. So what we're gonna do is get into a few different tips that you can use to really slam through that breakup period as fast as possible. There's an analogy that I love using when it comes to a breakup. And what it is if you think, let's travel up to Canada. We're in the north woods of Canada, and you look across this beautiful crystal clear lake. On the other side, you have these snow-capped mountains and some pine trees and all this beauty. And if you think about this crystal clear lake, on the bottom, there's this white muck. That's that shitty, mucky feeling. And if you notice, if you've ever had this experience, on the bottom, that silt that just starts muddying up the water, and that what was a crystal clear, beautiful lake, that peaceful, beautiful, crystal clear lake, all of a sudden it becomes murky and muddy. And that's the same way that you think when you're going through a breakup. It's murky, it's muddy. Everything you're doing is muddied. You can't focus on anything. Your mental bandwidth is completely taken up by, the other person and dealing with the other person. And where did I go wrong? Did I make the right decision? And that process leads to really affecting many areas of your life. And so what you need to do is let that silt settle. And if you think about this, what's going on there, every time you text back and forth, every time you see a picture of the other person in your Facebook newsfeed, what that does, it murkies up the water, it muddies up the water again. Cut out all those emotional triggers in whatever way you have to. On the Apple iPhone, you can go and you can block that other person so they don't text you, you don't even get it. You can unblock it, it's not a permanent thing. So if you're thinking, but what I suggest is 6 months. If you want to be friends with them, you're like, but I still, we had this huge connection and I don't want to cut that off completely. I said, you can go that route, but you got to give me 6 months. You got to cut it off completely for 6 months to let that silt settle to the bottom of the floor. And at some point, then it becomes this sort of, we'll call it like a clay lake bed, but it's going to take some time. Next, let's get into some reframes. So the most important one is realizing that being in a relationship, it's a skill set like anything else, whether it's playing the piano. When I was a dating coach, it was really important to show guys like, hey, it's not about you as a person. You can learn to communicate more effectively. You can learn to be more dominant and a masculine male. It's the same thing of being a boyfriend, especially when it comes to the precedents that you set early in a relationship. So this isn't about, oh my God, this is my one chance for love. I'm never gonna find anyone like this ever again. Take a snapshot of what happened in that breakup and go, okay, what can I learn from this? And don't do that stuff again. So like I said, with precedents, that's a great example. I remember with my current girlfriend, there was a time when I went out, had a lot of fun with the guys. We were out till like 3 or 4 a.m. The next day, she's like, you were out all day with your friends. Like, what was going on there? Oh, interesting. Here's one of those opportunities where I need to convey to her that my friends, I should be able to go out. This isn't a big deal. You need to be cool with this. And you gotta you can't like wait 3 years in and all of a sudden say like, hey, you know what, my friends were a priority. Or another one, work is a great example. I made it very clear very on that I am building a business here. It's gonna be up and down, and you need to be comfortable with the fact that there's gonna be times where I'm doing a product launch, I gotta work 18 hours a day, I gotta work on weekends. Luckily that doesn't happen too much anymore, but she was aware from the beginning, so that nowadays if that happened, it's not like, what is wrong, what's going on here? I set that precedent early on, but in previous relationships, I didn't do that, and that was a big part that led to the breakup. Another thing to learn from is the concept of emotional anchors. So what happens is, anytime you have a negative emotion, it's triggered by something in your environment being different than how you expect it to be. So let's say, going back to the bad breakup that I had, at one point, all of a sudden I was in the airport, and I just felt sad. And I'm like, okay, why do I feel sad right now? And I realized what it was is I saw a family, and in my sort of subconscious mind, I had this thought of, we could have had a family together. Now we'll never have a family together. I'm like, I didn't want to have a family. I was like 26 at the time. And so once I became aware of it, what it does is breaks the anchor. So if you want to get over a breakup faster, shine that light of awareness on those times when you feel sad. Go, okay, why do I feel sad right now? Where's that coming from? Oh, it's because I realized that I'll never get with someone like that again. Okay, let me think about that one. There's billions and billions of people out there. I met someone before her. And again, as hard as that is, when you're in that sort of muck feeling, to go, oh no, the next one's gonna be better. It's again, just shine that light of awareness and trust your subconscious to slowly let that silt, let that muddy water sink down to the bottom. Another issue that a lot of people have is taking responsibility for the breakup. So whether they were the ones who ended it or they made the mistakes and that led to the other person breaking off, like they cheated on them or something like that. It's hard for them to get over the fact that, this is my fault. I'm taking it personally that I was the one who ruined the relationship. Yes, it's great to take responsibility because that's the only way that you can learn. Like I said, take a snapshot and learn from it, but it doesn't hit you on the personal level. It doesn't affect who you are as a person. It's not your identity that you're a bad boyfriend, you're a bad girlfriend, you're a bad person. It's just, hey, you didn't have the skill set yet. And even if on that level, if you're like, I did everything right though, and still this thing ended, the ultimate form of responsibility is, did I choose the right person? Did I screen for the right girlfriend or boyfriend? My definition of a relationship, it's actually twofold. First, 1 + 1 = 100. So what do I mean by that? It means that the sum of us together is greater than us just like living our lives separately. So I might be very driven, but having that person, it's an enhancing effect. It's an enabling, it's a multiplication. And so, my girlfriend, she's my business partner. She's constantly giving me feedback there. She's my best friend. So she's, we confide in each other intimately, of course. That's part of a relationship. And the other part of my definition of a relationship is visibility. And this comes from Nathaniel Branden. He talks about the person that you're intimately in a relationship with. This person should understand you better than anyone else. You should have that sort of, just visibility, transparency, where if you have a huge win, a huge success, this person better than, let's say if you even have a business partner. Your significant other actually understands more. They understand the emotional impact. You're having sex, and all those things combined means they have more sympathy and empathy for your situation than anyone else in the world. That's what my definition of success. I'm not saying, this is my belief here, so keep that in mind, but this is what I want. And so with that, I'm like, I don't want to hold anything back. I want to be completely transparent and completely honest. And when I'm setting those precedents, what I want out of that relationship, again, this came from past relationships. This wasn't just how I started at birth coming out this way, but from those things learning, I want to be completely open and transparent. And that's what leads to a great relationship. So if I had a breakup, if those things weren't there, I can look and say, okay, that's not how this was. What can I learn for the next situation? Maybe I have to screen better. I'm saying, okay, what were her parents like? What are her love languages? We just talked about love languages. How does she convey love? How do I convey love? How did I maybe make a mistake there? So if you're going through that bad breakup, think about the muddy water analogy. If that water is super murky, what can you do to stop kicking up the dirt? What triggers could you get rid of? Who could you maybe distance yourself from? Maybe the mutual friends that you have. Block them on your phone, block them in your email, things like that. That's gonna be the first step. Secondly, what can I take away from this? Don't live in the past. Take a snapshot of it so you're not feeling it, and it really objectifies it, and you look at it as a skill set, and you just get out of it faster because all of a sudden you see the growth potential, you see the excitement, and that's what leads to enthusiasm and living life to the fullest. So there you have it, a couple quick tips to get over that breakup faster. I hope that helped you out. If you like this video, make sure to like it, as well as subscribe. Videos are coming out like this every single week. And as always, enjoy.